previously, in a other video, I talked about the Canonets, and I talked about how, I think it was with the 28. I had a Canonet 28, and I was just saying that the batteries that are used in it now are different than the ones that they were manufactured to use. Like, the intention was that they would use a mercury battery, but mercury batteries are no longer made because they're poisonous, so they're banned, they're illegal. Now we all use the these guys, little alkaline batteries. So why is there a difference? So a mercury battery, essentially, it gives out like a consistent amount of voltage for most of its life, and then there's a sharp cutoff. Now, this goes into how a lot of these cameras were used, specifically something like an Electro, or like a Canonet, or even like a Spotmatic. They weren't used necessarily by professionals. This means that, like, I'm taking this camera out on my family vacation in the summertime, and then when I get back home after a week out, after using this, shooting through a few rolls of film, maybe just one roll, who knows, I'm just gonna put it back in my bag, go about my day-to-day life, and then maybe next summer I'll take it out again, or maybe I'll forget that I even have a camera. Like, it's one of those things that this was not designed to define someone's livelihood. Spotmatic was not designed to define someone's livelihood. They were cheap enough to buy for the average consumer. So basically, if you have a battery in here and it works, no need to replace it, you know? Oh, it still works like a year later. No need to replace it. It still works a year later. No need to replace it, because the mercury battery will be good for, you know, most of its life. And then there's a sharp cutoff. And then after that sharp cutoff, then it will start to corrode. And if this is sitting in someone's like bag, or sitting in someone's like just basement or whatever, it will start to corrode and you won't notice it. It's the same issue with the T50 that had with the AA batteries. It's used by a consumer, and AA batteries just corrode really quickly, so that's kind of their fault. But regardless, over time, if you're not regularly switching out batteries like you would in a more professional camera, then the corrosion starts to go and build up and stuff. So there's that. That's kind of why a lot of these are affected by that. And then the other issue is power output. Okay, so mercury batteries, like I said, are relatively consistent for their whole life. So the electronics in here are very rudimentary, but still they're designed to operate under certain conditions, being the 1.33 volts or whatever the battery is. So if you're putting in a different kind of battery that gives a different amount of output and then also degrades more gradually over time, like an alkaline battery would, then you're going to be seeing differences in performance over the light meter. Now, it's not something that's like really noticeable. It's a negligible amount, like maybe half a stop, at most a full stop. But you will notice that it slopes down more gradually. It's another one of those kind of interesting things to consider, and it's an interesting component of a lot of these old film cameras, and it ages them in a certain way of, we were still using mercury when these were made, you know? Like, I wasn't alive back then, but people were. Sound-minded people were, and they were like, yes, this is a good idea. And then it just shows that we developed past that. And we found workarounds, you know, with different battery types and stuff, but it is something to keep in mind that, you know, these were not designed to take the batteries that we put in them. As I promised previously in the Minolta video, that I wanted to talk about the mercury batteries, because I've had to chisel more than one mercury battery out of a Yashica Electro. They're like the big, chunky mercury batteries, and it was a real toxic effort. This is just a real quick video discussing the differences between mercury batteries and alkaline batteries that we use more modernly. There's really nothing else I want to talk about, so I'm just going to end it here. Thank you very much for watching. Catch you on the next one.